was revealed that Jackson was ranked 69th on the annual NFL Top 100 list. This list, which is voted on by players, is a ranking of players entering the 2026 season. From last year, Lamar dropped 67 spots. He was previously ranked number 2, the ranking that he held for the previous 2 years. Look who it is, Joe Fortenbaugh, Ryan Clark, fresh off of, where have you been? Taylor Swift's wedding. You've been everywhere but here. So glad to have you back.
Yeah, thank you. Good to be back.
All right, so RC, let's dive into this list here. How disrespectful is it that Lamar Jackson goes from number 2 all the way down to number 69?
It's almost inexplicable to believe that Lamar Jackson would fall this far in this sort of voting. Lamar Jackson is a 2-time MVP. Lamar Jackson is a 3-time first-team All-Pro quarterback. And Lamar Jackson has single-handedly carried the offense of the Baltimore Ravens and this entire organization since taking over as quarterback for Joe Flacco in his rookie season. And when you look at last year, especially the start of the season, Lamar Jackson was playing at a high level. You go to the Detroit Monday Night Football game where they lose and he has some inexplicable turnovers and some things happen in that game. And then we see the injuries happen toward the end of the season. But Lamar Jackson, the guy that has broken records, Lamar Jackson, the guy who was a first ballot Hall of Famer already, to me, it's disrespectful in a way as if we've forgotten who he is. And you think about the players and the peers who also are a part of this vote, and you ask them, truly, which quarterback do you want to face the least? I believe that conversation does go Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. And we're talking about the most important position on the field. But Roy Jones had a song a long time ago. And listen, it was one with Bodyhead Records. And he said, y'all must have forgot. And I feel like people have forgotten who Lamar Jackson truly is. And so if he's motivated in the way that it seems this season, working with Declan Doyle now, the new offensive coordinator, I can't wait to see what he does because clearly there's still a lot to prove for a man that's changed the way the game of football has been played from the quarterback position.
All due respect to RC, the last 15 seconds I was just playing Roy Jones Jr. You must have forgotten in my head the whole time. So I missed a little bit.
I was actually thinking Can't Be Touched. Yeah, That's a good one too.
Yeah, you know, the man had hits. We're not sleeping on Roy Jones in the booth right now. But beyond that, I would think it's important to have a little bit of context of this because you know how I feel about player rankings when it comes to these things, and sometimes the context is necessary. Is for those who do not know, the players rank their picks 1 through 20, and whoever gets the most votes goes into that. And one thing that's important to note is traditionally this usually happens in the previous season between sort of Thanksgiving and the end of the year when Lamar Jackson was coming back from his injury and things like that. That's a couple of caveats, but still, apples to apples. He was 2 one year and 69 this year. There's really no excuse for that, especially when you look at how he was before those injuries, as RC mentioned. Number 1 in passer rating, number 1 in completion percentage. Had not thrown a pick yet through the first 3 weeks before he started to get hurt. And I think if there's one thing that you can take away from this, despite all of the idiosyncrasies of how the voting went, this is just another one of the things that Lamar Jackson has to motivate him going into this season. This is one of the guys who, from the moment he came into the league, we got to remember, should he be wide receiver? Can he pass? All these things. After he wins MVPs, is he a pocket passer? Is he quarterbacking? This guy has dealt with criticisms from the very beginning, and this is just another step in that. This guy is going to be coming out looking for revenge all season, and part of this, I wouldn't be surprised if he writes down that number before every game to remind everybody who he is when the season starts.
This is a case study in recency bias, which is where you put too much weight on the more recent events and not enough weight on events that have happened further in the past. A drop from 2 was necessary. The production fell off. The injuries occurred. You're not going to be the number 2 player in the NFL with that taking place. That said, you're not going all the way to 69th, given everything we've seen from you prior to last season, which, by the way, one of the worst of his career, still top 5 in passer rating, still top 9 in quarterback rating. So it wasn't that hideous. Battling the injuries, okay, we're going to drop them. RC and everyone else involved here, we've used words like disrespectful and whatnot. Alarming is the one that comes out to me. Because if you go back to last year when he was number 2, he was ahead of Patrick Mahomes. And we were coming off the conversation going into the Super Bowl against the Eagles where Mahomes was ready to move past Brady as the GOAT. And even though he lost that game, we're sitting in a spot where Jackson, by the players, gets ranked ahead of Mahomes. And the reason for that, every player said it, and RC just talked about it as well, how dangerous he is to game plan for. He's so dangerous to prepare for, so difficult to stop. And in 1 year's time, they have turned around and looked at him and said, 69th. No matter how the voting is done, great job laying that out. To me, the big concern and why I think it's so alarming, do the players no longer fear the guy? I don't think the whole league has moved on, but I think this is a big overstep given what we saw and what we have seen from a bigger picture standpoint.
And to provide, go ahead, RC.
The other thing is this, though. When you look at a guy like Joe Burrow, right, and where he is ranked, they don't take into account how much he's been injured or how little he's played, how awful his team has been as a whole. They look at Joe Burrow when he is on the field, what he has accomplished, and they rank him by that. They rank him by the feeling they get when Joe Burrow is healthy, when Jamar Chase is there, when T. Higgins is there. The same exact thing should go for Lamar Jackson. Outside of Patrick Mahomes, there is no more accomplished quarterback in the entire NFL individually. There's no quarterback who carries more than Lamar Jackson. There's no quarterback who's asked to do more than Lamar Jackson. There's no quarterback who you have to have a game plan for in the run game. You have to have a game plan for in the pass game. And then you have to have a secondary game plan for when he does Lamar Jackson type stuff. And so when you take his career as a whole, if I'm a player, the way I'm voting is this. If this dude is healthy, how much do I fear him? If this dude is healthy, how difficult is it to game plan for him throughout the week? And we talked about some of the disrespect he has gotten. That's disrespect I expected. I expected executives to not know where to place him. I expected marketers and brands to not understand the power of his voice. What I didn't expect is dudes who have to line up in pads on Sundays and Thursdays and Wednesdays and Fridays and whatever the hell other days that we're going to see NFL games this year to not understand how scary it is to walk on the field when this dude is right. And ain't that much changed in 1 year. We're coming off of a year where it was basically one of the best quarterback years we had ever seen, where Josh Allen actually wins the MVP, and he's the first team all-pro quarterback. It's not just disrespectful, it's almost stupid that he is ranked so low. And I don't know if he cares about it at all, but this says a lot about this league and how quickly we forget what Lamar Jackson has accomplished.
RC getting progressively more hot. It's good to have you back, RC.
And then there's the thing. These were done. They handed out the pieces of paper in practice facilities and let people sign those out. That's one thing. Pass out those papers when it's 3rd and 5 and Lamar Jackson got the ball and tell me how much you fear that man. You're going to get some different answers when you lined up.
And there is a difference between what RC was alluding to, and I'm glad you're back because in just a little bit I want to get your opinion on the top 10 list that Jeremy Fowler polled executives about of where Lamar Jackson is at number 5. But these are his peers saying he is not a top 60 player in the NFL. And the way that this works, to peel back the curtain, I'm in locker rooms every single day during the NFL season. Right around, like as David was pointing out, right around like November, team employees will go around and hand players a piece of paper. They write 1 through 20. They write their players on there the way that they rank them. A lot of guys vote for friends. A lot of guys vote for teammates. Not everybody's breaking down film of these guys and saying, oh, based on that, that's where I'm putting this player in the list. So there's context behind this that might not lead you to believe that the voting process, everyone takes it seriously, everyone does it uniformly, all of that. But RC, I do think, though, this raises a question about the type of Lamar Jackson you get this season, the motivation, all of that. Is he the quarterback under the most pressure to get to the Super Bowl this year?
Lamar Jackson's been the quarterback under the most pressure to get to a Super Bowl since he won his first MVP. Even you go even further than that. In his first season of getting into the playoffs and not playing well, and watching the Chargers deploy 7 defensive backs against Lamar Jackson, and everybody thinking to themselves, oh my God, we figured him out. And Lamar Jackson getting to the AFC championships against the Kansas City Chiefs and not being able to score 20 points at home when he had the number 1 defense in all of the NFL. And Lamar Jackson rolling out late in the game and hitting his tight end right in the middle of his chest, who is as reliable as any tight end in all of football, and him dropping the ball. Lamar Jackson, since being drafted 32nd overall with the Baltimore Ravens moving up into the first round to get him, has been the quarterback under the most pressure to win a Super Bowl, and that's not changing.
He's got a new coaching staff, and it's a rookie head coach, so I think it's going to give him a little bit more leeway. I don't think there's anyone under more pressure than Matthew Stafford this year. Like, Stafford's trajectory and the narrative around Matthew Stafford, woo, if they don't get to the Super Bowl, staff, and it's a rookie head coach, so I think it's going to give him a little bit more leeway. I don't think there's anyone under more pressure than Matthew Stafford this year. Like, Stafford's trajectory and the narrative around Matthew Stafford, woo, if they don't get to the Super Bowl and win this year, that thing's going to change. All those years in Detroit, he was an underdog story. Everyone felt bad for him. The Lions did such a poor job building around him. Suddenly, he's traded to LA. He gets McVay, a great offense, and he wins. And then he wins an MVP. And then he gets Myles Garrett. And Aaron Donald might be coming back. And they're the favorites to win the NFC and the Super Bowl. You don't take care of business this year, that whole narrative and love story everyone has for Stafford, that's going to fall apart.
But he's old, so I think he's going to get an old man pass. For me, it's the guy who's number one on these things. It's Josh Allen. You are the best player in the world, according to just about everybody. You went out there, you had a bunch of turnovers against Denver. This is supposed to be your league. You're supposed to be better than Patrick Mahomes, who's coming off an injury. You're supposed to be better. You have separated yourself in that big three, supposedly. Go out there and win a Super Bowl. This is your year.
Yeah, all right. So much more meat on the bone that we will get into here on this topic in just a little bit. But straight ahead, the ESPYs are in